Well, then, it's time.
And in that, we will move forward to college football. That was our NFL recap. It's the only thing that mattered, specifically in the NFL. College football is a little different. So we're going to get to that now, although my sheet's all messed up. So we're going to have to...
Please forgive Stoy for deleting all of our picks from the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
He didn't mean it. It wasn't because we both sucked at college football, let's be honest, but your NFL picks were good-ish.
They were
okay-ish.
I got an upset.
Your best bets were good.
Best bets were great.
You hit the 999 best bet.
Yep.
So we won't do too much of a... I lost the NFL picks, so I will have a shitty shot for that. So I've got that on deck here. College football. You want to lead us into the playoffs here?
I don't. Okay. We started off with.
Our picks were bad, but the games were great.
We started off with thinking that. I'm going to go back. Let me go back. Okay. Mm-hmm. Games that we had. First, Tennessee, Clemson.
Yep.
Okay. I remember us sitting here going, this is probably going to be the best game of the week. We really like Tennessee's defense, all of those things. Well, we were completely wrong.
Yeah, because,
Tennessee, they could score quick, and they scored well. Their quarterback outshined Clemson's defense.
Yeah.
Didn't show up. So that's how we started.
Yeah.
Then we roll into, and we had Bama K-State, which we absolutely nailed. Although K-State came out hotter than I anticipated, but
right.
Bama was not going to have any of that. So now I'm thinking, okay, hey, 1 for 1.
Right.
Roll into the weekend. Feeling all right. Watched the Iowa team. That was fun for a little bit as a teaser going into this TCU Michigan game.
Yeah.
Okay. So we had said the semifinals games we believe are going to be boring and blowouts. We really hope it's not.
Yeah.
Well, we got what we really hoped for.
Yeah.
This Michigan TCU game, TCU could not have played a better game, in my opinion.
They turned the ball over 3 times.
Well, yes, turnovers, but
no, game plan wise,
the gameplay they
physicality wise,
took them out.
They were not outmanned.
They were definitely not outmanned. Now, to me, the game, this was where I did not agree with how Michigan started. To go for it, one, I don't know why you just weren't trying to run down their throat down on the goal line. Forget that. But to go for it there in a big game like this with a underdog, if you will, they stop you. You flip momentum for them. Mm-hmm. So I think a field goal should have been kicked there. Things little changed, but this game really for me came down to Michigan's stupidity from turnovers, play calling, scheme. It just was not good, top to bottom, and they still could have won this game and potentially should have won this game, if not for a not but touchdown and fumbling on the goal line and those things. So, and not taking anything from TCU, I'm just saying,
right?
They had their shot too.
Yeah. So as I look at this game, I look at that first drive. Michigan goes down. I have no problem with them going for it. However, the mistake, as you talked about in stupidity, right from the outset, is you run a trick play on 4th and 1, and as the powerhouse dominating, supposed to be able to dominate both sides of the line of scrimmage. That's why this game's going to get ugly.
You don't run trick play.
You don't run a trick play. You especially don't run a trick play at the beginning of the game. If you let the other team think that you need trick plays to win as an overwhelming favorite on the first drive, even if you get it, you have now set a mindset that you have to use something other than brute force and just an overall dominance, which everyone talked about you having, specifically you talked about you having, and then you didn't use it, and you didn't even attempt it. So it's one thing to get stopped the way they got stopped was even worse. That set the tone for the rest of the game.
TCU at that point was no longer afraid. If they were, which by the way, that first drive you could have said they were.
Right.
But from then on, like you said, even if they
There was
would have
no
got it,
intimidation factor whatsoever.
done, game over. We're equals, if not we're better. Good luck.
Come and get it. And then Michigan has the controversial play. It was a touchdown. Again, reffing affecting football games on the highest level. And they overturned the call, which was even more
That was a damn touchdown.
unbelievable. But then you have a fumble on the next play. You're just overthinking handing a ball to a guy that's a former linebacker in tight quarters, never gets the handoff, ball goes, TCU gets the ball back. Just, again, stupidity.
Just stupidity.
Overcoaching, I think, is what killed Michigan. Now, TCU, later in the game, they have 2 interceptions. Both interceptions arguably should have been caught. One 100% should have been caught. So they gave some back a little bit. Both teams had a fumble in there. So really, I think that TCU, there was a call that went against TCU on a fumble where it could have been down, maybe wasn't, type of thing. So, overall, I didn't see enough that went against Michigan to take anything away from what TCU did to win that football game. And Max Duggan was good, but he wasn't Heisman.
No.
It wasn't anything crazy to where you saw like a one-man show that we've seen in these college football playoff games over the years and stuff like that, that we thought he would have to have in order for them to win the game. They were not mistake-free. They were not, and they competed. And I think ultimately that's the biggest thing for me. The biggest takeaway is their they matched Michigan's physicality if we're not a more physical team as far as being able to dominate offensive line of scrimmage. They were a better, more physical team on the offensive front. Defensively is about 50-50. Neither team got a ton of pressure, so not really going to give it to one team or the other there. But TCU competed with Michigan the whole game. The score showed it. Both teams had 3 turnovers, which in a 51-45 game, the fact that there were 6 turnovers and you still had 96 points scored is like this could have been a 70-65 game.
Yeah, without even thinking about it.
Because they weren't really forced turnover. Like they were and they weren't. Like the plays happened, but they weren't just a team taking the ball away. Like they were kind of fluke
Giveaways.
Turnovers.
They're
At
like
least 4 out of
giveaways.
6 were fluke turnovers.
Yeah.
So correctable things, hopefully, for TCU.
That better be, in my opinion. But, I mean, it was a good game.
It really led us into the nightcap when you're just like, all right, man, I wasn't even ready for that next game to start. And we had people come over for New Year's, and I'm just like,
I need to breathe. I need something.
Right. I need a break.
And
then boom.
here we go.
Yeah.
Right into it.
Yeah.
So that's we didn't fare well. We'll just say we didn't fare well in Michigan.
I mean, we both had Michigan. Did we hit the over? I don't even remember. Did we?
One of these games I had the under on. I don't know which one,
Yep.
but I think this was the one we hit the over. I took the under in this one, I believe.
Okay.
Which, again, we'll get to. But here we go. Then we roll right into. It's like 15 minutes. I think it was not enough time to even really
Literally catch your breath. That
catch
was
your breath.
all.
And here we go. So, Georgia, Ohio State. We had said it that this game, Georgia should dominate, can dominate, depending on how Ohio State's offense plays. They have not really shown much against much people. However, we know that Georgia's defense is not ultimately where the Georgia defense was before. We did know that Georgia could score, just what was going to come up of it, right? And so, first drive, Georgia's defense stands up. Second drive, Georgia drives down, gets a missed field goal. Now I'm like, okay, we're going to get into a nice little match. And then we just went off. From there, races taking off. Overall, just from a statistic standpoint, which I'm not a statistics guy, but I believe Stroud, I don't know where he was on people's draft boards. He definitely made himself money. 23 for 34, 348 yards and 4 touchdowns. And was just picking them apart, although there was a lot of blown coverages. And Stetson Bennett, I don't know why people don't talk more about Stetson Bennett. Maybe he's short, he's old. I don't get it. He's like a Drew
Too little.
Breezy
Yeah, he
to
just
you.
I don't think he has the arm strength.
23 for 34, 398 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. It was just a really, really good game.
Yeah, I don't know how Ohio State lost this game.
Yeah, I don't either.
I mean, I went back.
Besides coaching, of course.
Like I said, we had people over, so like, I was more distracted during this game than I was the other game. Just as far as in ebbs and flows, I watched like the second half again. Ohio State choked. And I'd like to be able to put my finger on it a little bit more as far as Marvin Harrison Jr. went out of the game. And so you don't have that factor as far as elite receivers. You know, Ohio State's down, you know, a couple receivers, tight end, you know, whatever it may be.
Yeah, but at that point,
But I mean, it shouldn't.
like at that point, because if he would have caught a touchdown, well, we're going to get to that, don't worry. But at that point, still 38-24 with 5 minutes left in the third.
Yeah, I mean, fourth quarter they were up 2 scores.
Yeah, I mean, they're up 11 2 minutes into the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So I get that, like, yeah, not having him sucked, but you had the points were there already.
Right. I mean, you gave up that, and Georgia just the thing, and that's the scary part about this is the scary part about Georgia is Georgia looked pedestrian. Again, they have athletes all over the field. Guys can make plays, explosive plays. I mean, you had a completely blown coverage to get the game back to, I think, 38-35 or 38-32, somewhere in there. I don't remember if they kicked the field goal before or after. But, I mean, literally a guy ran down the sideline, guy fell down, and there's nobody there. You had a couple of plays where their running back literally just ran through the defense, and it looked like the defense was standing still.
Yeah.
So, like, you have elite athletes, and so, like, when you watch those plays, you're like, wow, okay, like, that's why Georgia's so good is because they can afford to play bad and win. But, like, Ohio State has to win that game. Like, you can't play as well as their quarterback played and as well as their team played in general and lose that football game.
I want to know this. Your quarterback played one of the top games you could play in the semifinals probably ever. Hotter than hell. Mm-hmm. I know one of your receivers is out. That's fine. He doesn't matter. He is hot.
Yeah.
He's going to make it happen.
Let him make a play.
That last drive, you took the ball out of his hands and just said, meh.
Once you got to 35 or 30, basically.
Yeah. You just said, why?
Coaches just get so comfortable of not, and it's not comfortable. I think coaches get scared. You're in field goal range. You do not want to take yourself out of field goal range. The only way in their mind to do that is to drop back and pass, knowing that I can be sacked. You've got to trust the guy that finished, third in Heisman votes, second in Heisman votes, wherever he was, and was
in Fuego. I don't even know.
400 yards, 4 touchdowns, hadn't turned the ball over, maybe had been sacked a couple times all night. I mean, roll him out.
Yeah. You also you got to think about the defense. I can't bring pressure on you.
Right.
You're sitting in field goal range.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, a longer field goal.
Right.
I want you to stop there.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to run the ball into the teeth of my defense.
Right.
I don't want you to drop back and pass because I can't come blitz you. If I do, I'm putting so much pressure back there.
Yeah,
That was ridiculous.
You played to kick a field goal 45 plus yards to win a game.
Awful.
And granted, your guy had hit a 48-yarder, I think, already.
I don't care.
But you put all of the pressure on one guy.
No, 3 guys. Okay, I didn't
Snap,
even
hold, kick.
I didn't even look at the snap or the hold.
You couldn't. There's not
Something
any
was
good.
There was no good angles to me. I couldn't find
the
it.
plant
because
foot, he planted his foot really close to the ball when you see, and so like.
Okay, so
as far as getting a swing, like your swing was either going to be
because the way he missed it.
Oh, I mean,
was not a kick problem. There was something mechanically between snap, hold, or and I never saw his plant foot, but maybe it was plant foot. Like some timing thing was not right.
I think that the pressure got to him.
I easily
I think
could have. I just
he
don't know
was
the other
standing
two
on
components.
18 and a 2-stroke lead,
And just
and he had an 8-iron in hand, and
shanked the 8-iron.
he shanked it.
Into the water.
Yeah, it didn't even get to the water. It's rolling up behind it. I mean, he kicked a 48-yard field goal, 20 yards left and 30 yards down the field.
It was so bad.
I mean, there was like not even like they celebrated as the ball came off his foot. Like there wasn't
That's
even
it.
any
No.
of like the wait, you
No.
know, did it or
No.
like you couldn't even like it was the most anticlimactic
game-winning field goal situation
that I think I've ever seen
Yeah.
because of how bad he missed it. Like,
Just like, oh, yeah, that's.
and then literally at midnight.
Yeah, it was.
So there's the
Yeah.
split screen. I'm
Yeah,
sure that you've
we have
seen.
it. Oh, I
yeah,
think we have it in the Twitter. It's
So-
cool. That's
where as the
as the clock strikes midnight.
midnight Eastern time,
Yeah,
um,
you shanked it to lose.
you shanked it, and so you've got Stetson Bennett running out at midnight, basically.
The whole celebration.
Yeah, I
at
mean
midnight.
it worked well together, but yeah, I just Ohio State. If you asked me, I would have said on that night Ohio State was the more deserving, better football team, and they had a kick to win it. So like, let's not act like Stroud didn't get them down there and give them a chance to win, which he did, and that was a back and forth game like that in the fourth quarter, to where team that has the ball last wins unless you botch the kick. And they botched the kick. So, not the same as, I thought TCU deserved to win against Michigan the way those two teams played.
Yeah.
And I thought Ohio State deserved to win. But
Pre-
nonetheless, Georgia prevailed, and they are
Close.
now 13.5-point favorites against TCU, which we'll talk about that, but
That's
that doesn't make any damn sense to
silly.
me.
But hey, great semifinals.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying can't wait for a 12-man. Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
12-team playoff is going to show more of these.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be blowouts, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's just the excitement of these games. When we had these two games marked as, I don't think they're going to be close.
Yeah.
Vegas was right again. Good job, Vegas. You're doing pretty well. But that was college football. No. Back up. I'll go back. I got to talk about 2 games. 3 games. I'm going to start with LSU Purdue. Did you see that happening? 63-7?
No, but
That's ridiculous. I just had to mention
it's
that.
just one of those things that
Good.
once the snowball starts rolling
Ooh, it's
downhill
bad.
in those bowl games, it can get ugly.
Now,
fast.
the game we did pick, though, Penn State, Utah.
Mhm.
And we goonlocked, I'm pretty sure, on
Utah, yep.
Good for Penn State.
I mean, Penn State had
Good for Penn State.
2 plays, or 2 drives, in which they scored touchdowns of 95 plus yards. On those 2 drives, they scored touchdowns of 85 or greater yards. So they ran 2 plays and I think 3 plays on the other one for touchdowns, which ended up putting the game away. And then Utah's quarterback got hurt, which would have been their only chance of coming back.
Correct.
Would have been having him in. So the game got really anticlimactic really quick in what was a good game for 2.5, almost 3 quarters. 2.5 quarters basically. So that made a big difference. I did not see Penn State having 2+ 80-yard touchdowns against the Utah defense. So
Good for them.
kudos to them. Yeah,
for them. They figured it
good
out.
win. I don't care for
Did you
Penn
watch
State
the
or their
Tulane
coach. So
USC?
Yeah.
That ending
Mhm.
was absurd.
yeah, I watched that game
That one
pretty
was-
much in its entirety. USC is terrible on defense. They can't tackle anyone. Everything else is fine. Obviously, their quarterback play is really good and their offense is
So,
really good. But
This sequence at the end of the game, because I really tuned in.
this is a Power 5 team up 16 points with how long?
15. It was 15 points with like 4 minutes left.
With
Because
4
this is
minutes
when I
left.
tuned in.
Against Tulane.
Yeah, I tuned in at this point. They kicked the field goal
Mm-hmm.
to go up 15 with like 4 minutes, 3-4 minutes.
So at this point, it's 45-30 with 4:20 left or something.
somewhere in there,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, well, this kind of get out of hand.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to do anything. And then all of a sudden, Tulane And I'm not 100% sure how that happened, but USC gives up just a bomb. And then, Tulane walks right into the end zone. I'm like, okay, 8 points, 3 minutes. It's still it's still a long shot.
Right.
USC just needs to go down, maybe kick a field goal, waste a bunch of clock, whatever.
Mind you, USC's offense has been driving up and down the field the whole game.
There should be no problems.
Yep.
Except for their return guy calls a fair catch and just bloop, bloop, right out of bounds. On the 2, doesn't matter. Just bloop, bloop, right out of bounds. Yeah. And I'm like, how? What? How in the hell? You could have let the thing. There were so many other things that could have happened, but that one thing. So now they're on the 2 or 1. I don't care. I'm thinking, okay, you've got Heisman winner. You've got weapons. You're always in shotgun. Stupid. So I'm thinking, hey, they're gonna throw out of this situation because you damn sure don't want to get a safety. Clearly, running the ball downhill right now is not a good idea. Let's just couple quick passes. Let's get some breathing room. Long punt. Let your defense try to win it for you. No, it's not what they do. No, they go zone read twice in a row for safety.
And the safety was 3 yards deep in the end zone.
It wasn't
was
close.
No doubt safety.
It was so bad that Caleb Williams tried to then take the ball from his running back who was getting driven backwards because
and try to get out of the end zone.
His only shot was to do that.
Right.
Okay.
Well, here's the other thing. If you feel like you need to run the ball, sneak the damn thing 3 times and kick it.
Yes.
You can't lose yards.
Worst, you get, you're at the 2. Right.
Now I got to punt it.
No. These were shotgun snaps.
Yep.
Okay. So now, guess what? You had an 8-point lead. You have a 6-point lead. Guess what happens when they score a touchdown? You're most likely losing the game. All right. So that happens. And Tulane just methodically just goes down and really no problems. When they started this drive, I was just like, besides it starting with a sack, they were not putting a spy on Pratt, and he was just gonna get whatever yards he needed to get the entire drive.
Yeah,
all the way down.
Yeah, 12. It was 12 plays, 3.5 minute drive.
Yep,
to end the game.
I mean,
they didn't even give Caleb Williams a chance.
And you just
that was the thing.
And you see Caleb wins on the sideline, just I'm not
at that point. You just wanted to let him score, just so that you can get the ball back. If you're USC, just don't put me at the 1 yard line. And we'll go win the game.
Good Lord. So now Vegas had 1.5 SC being favorite, so they knew something. But wow, good for Tulane. Yeah, good for college football.
The big
USC. Welcome to the Big Ten.
USC, really choked it off there.
Yeah. All right. So that's our college football recap.
A lot of amazing, exciting bowl games, and then college football playoff to top it all off with college football really delivering over the weekend and through bowl season, honestly.
Well then, it's time.